Good morning. Hello, Internet. Cheers. I got all your questions last night. There were loads of them. So I just wrote down a bunch of them and I'll give it a go at answering the best I can. From your perspective, this is you watching a video of me answering questions. From my perspective, this is me alone talking into my laptop. So it's slightly weird. But here I go. Question 1. Toby, how are you doing, mate? I'm really good, thank you. It's summer here in Toronto and it's really, really lovely. I haven't had to put a jacket on or a jumper for about 2 months. It's really, really hot all the time. The city is actually lovely in the summer. It's fucking horrible in the winter, but I'm really, really making the most of the summer months. If you were exiled to a country, what would that be? I think I would want to go and live in Costa Rica. They don't have an army, and they've got like the best wildlife ever. And I don't think they use any fossil fuels anymore. They're like completely divested, and there's just monkeys lying around. I imagine. Seems like a really, really cool place to live. I keep texting my family, telling them to just move to Costa Rica, and I think if they did, I'd go with them. Maybe start some sort of eco hotel or something. I think they've got a lot of eco hotels. Do something like that. Go live with monkeys. I know they've got caterpillars that can kill you, and they live in shoes and stuff. But I think it's a cool place to go. What happened to the squirrel your mum was looking after? Yeah, so my mum rescued a squirrel. She like disturbed a nest, and the squirrel babies fell out on the ground. They were like really, really, really young, like only a couple of weeks old. And one of them died, and the other one she nursed back to health. Amazingly, like squirrel babies they can't even piss by themselves. They have to like be. Oh, it's just looking after a tiny little thing is a nightmare. She had to feed it with a tiny paintbrush of milk every 2 hours for about a month, and then eventually it sort of started looking less like a fetus. And then she gave it to my grandfather, who's like amazing with animals. Used to have horses in a monkey sanctuary when my mum was growing up, and he's sort of like an animal whisperer, and he looked after it. And then I think he released it into a park near his house. So it's all good. It's all good. The squirrel lives, I imagine, as long as it hasn't been, eaten by a dog or something. What would you rather be fluent in all human languages or be able to talk to animals? That is a really good question. On the one hand, travelling around the world and speaking to everyone would be really cool, but on the other hand, like talking to dogs and stuff would be amazing. I think I'm going to have to go with, talking to animals. I'd like to talk to animals. I'd like to know what's going on in the dolphin's head. What's the one moment in your life you wish you could redo? None. You can't have any regrets. If you have regrets, well, they're pointless. And anyway, if you take one decision back, then you end up taking them all back. You can't have one without the other. All decisions in your life have led you to this exact moment. So you can't have the bad decisions without the good. So nothing. What is your pet peeve? People eating really loudly. I can't stand it. I need to get better at it because you got to live and let live, but fucking hell, I don't like it. Especially when it's gum, because that's not even nutritious. You're not even getting anything out of gum. So what's the point? Just with your mouth closed. Just eat with your mouth closed. Where am I? What would be the worst superpower? Me and Caitlin used to talk about this for ages. Think of the worst superpowers. I think the worst one we came up with was to turn into a laptop once permanently. Or the power to have other people read your thoughts. Like the reverse telepathy. That's pretty shit. If you could go to only one music festival, which one would you go to? I guess Glastonbury. For those who don't know, I think it's the biggest in the world. It's in England, in the countryside somewhere, like a couple of hours from Stonehenge, and it's amazing, and it's weird. At night, it's weird. There's a whole area of it called Shangri-La that sort of opens up in the night time, and a lot of art and strange bars and weird characters. I like English music festivals. Like Coachella and stuff like that's not really my vibe. It's too clean and nice. I like something a little bit weirder. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be? I think David Attenborough. He's my hero. I don't actually know that much about him, to be honest, apart from the basics, but I've just watched his documentaries since I was young, and he's unbelievable. He's so amazing. So yeah, I'd like to pick his brain over dinner. Dead, if he was dead though, I guess Hunter S. Thompson would be a pretty interesting dinner guest. I heard this story about him ordering 6 banana daiquiris and 6 banana sundaes when he was having lunch with Tom Wolfe, and then he ate them all, and then just went, "Waiter, again!" and ordered it all again. So that might be quite interesting. If you could go back in time, would you change anything? Same deal. We know from about regrets and stuff. You can't go back. You can't change anything. We know from time traveling movies that it doesn't go well. Whatever you change, it changes everything, and then you end up messing up the future. Also, can someone please explain to me the logic behind Terminator? Like that she's gonna get killed by the Terminator, so someone comes back to protect her, to allow her to have the kid in the future that's gonna save the world. But the guy who comes back to protect her is the guy that impregnates her to have the kid. So if he'd never gone back in time in the first place, how did he have the kid to go? It doesn't make any sense. It's a weird time loop. I guess Terminator assumes that time is circular. Is that what? So can someone explain it to me? Do you have a favourite song at the minute? Yeah, I've been listening to Chemical Brothers' song, the new one called Go. That's really amazing. It's just so catchy. Yeah, I've been listening to that a lot. How long would you survive in a zombie apocalypse? Me and Rachel Scarston, who plays Elizabeth, were talking about this the other day. Because Toronto's on the water, so I reckon best bet is to go down to the waterfront and get a boat, steal a boat. If someone's in it, I guess I'm going to have to hit them with a brick. Stay on the boat and then wait for winter. And hopefully in the winter times the zombies freeze. But we looked this up, and apparently zombies don't freeze in the winter. They're just their blood slows. Like when you put vodka in the freezer, it doesn't freeze because there's something in it. I guess the alcohol in it. But and there's a protein in zombie blood. But I mean, they don't even exist. And we looked it up, and there's some zombie researcher called Kate something or other who's explaining all of this stuff. Kate, what are you talking about? Zombies aren't real. How? It says she has observed through looking at zombies and stuff. What do you mean observed? When you observe them in your own mind, they're not real. You absolute lunatic. So if the winter doesn't kill him, I don't know. I don't think I survive very long. Maybe I'm on the 12th floor of my building, so maybe I could just stay up here. But then I'd just run out of food. I don't think I'm built to survive something like that. I wish I was. I wish I could grow my own crops and I knew how to fix a car and stuff. But I'd be fucking useless in a zombie apocalypse. I guess I can run really quick, but no, I don't think I'd survive very long. What can you tell us about season 3? I can't tell you much, but I can tell you that we've shot a few scenes that are going to make you cry. They're going to make you cry. And they're really, really good. We shot, I can't say what it is, why or when or what, but there's a dance in it. There's a dance that we filmed, and it's really lovely. It made everyone cry. You're going to cry. Who's your favourite artist? I really like this woman called Yayoi Kusama. She's a Japanese artist. I think she's in her 80s now, and she lives in a mental asylum. She sectioned herself. I think she hallucinates and sees strange patterns and stuff. And she did this thing called, I can't remember the name of it, but they're called infinity rooms, and they're like mirrored rooms that you get like when I went and saw it, there was such a massive queue that I waited about 3.5 hours to get in, and then I only got to stand in the room for like 30 seconds, which is a bummer. I wanted to spend like an hour in there. It's like, so there's got mirror on all sides, and go in, and there are all these little fairy lights hanging from the ceiling, and the lights go on as you're in there, and because there are mirrors on all sides, the little fairy lights are reflected infinitely in every direction. You know when you stand in front of a mirror on both sides and you try and look behind your own head, and it's like it goes back forever, but you can't really see it because your head's in the way. You can see around your own head because there's mirrors everywhere, so you can see in every direction forever. It's amazing. It feels like being inside of a galaxy or something. I know we're inside of a galaxy anyway, but like being in space. You can see the lights like reflected to an infinite plane. It's the only time that I've ever seen infinity represented in art. Really, really cool. Have you read any good books whose adaptations you'd like to star in? Yeah, my favourite book is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. It's so dark and brutal and brilliant. It's about a gang of they're called the Glanton Gang, and they go across America scalping Native American tribes and stuff, and then they just lose their minds and just start scalping everyone and everything, and they're led by this guy called the Judge, who's like, I think Time magazine called him like the 7th or 17th best villain of all time in literature. He's got no hair, he's huge sort of baby who's into lore and the balance of the planets and the elements and stuff. He's like incredibly smart, but also a complete psychopath. And the lead in it is the main character is just a boy called the Kid. And whenever they make that film, I think Ridley Scott's got the rights to make it. I might be wrong. Someone's got the rights to make it. It could be the best movie of all time, I think. Not just the best Western, but the best movie. And I'd love to be in that, play the Kid, or something, or whatever. It might get made in 20 years or something, and by then I'll be old enough to play someone else in it. But if you're up for an amazing read that is also horrific, read that book. Are you drawn to Oriental philosophy? Yes, I am drawn to Oriental philosophy. Another recommendation is Alan Watts. I love him. He's a philosopher who brought over Zen and Taoism and stuff in the 50s to a Western audience, and he writes very succinctly about these really difficult to grasp Eastern ideas that for the Western mind, just even the way our language is formed compared to theirs, is really, really difficult to grasp. And he makes it really, really, really simple. And he's really into the idea that everything is one, you know. And each individual is just a unique expression of the whole universe. So we're all one collective thing, but we're all individual points experiencing ourself. And we're just one big self, and we're all God or something. It's cool. And if you want something to listen to when you're going to bed, and he's got the most amazing, soothing, lovely voice, and there's hundreds of his lectures and stuff on YouTube. Check it out. We know you're passionate about directing. Do you see that in your near future? Yeah, I want to direct. Really want to. I'm trying to write a short film at the minute, and it's really hard. Anyone who's ever written anything that is any good, I'm enamoured, and in awe of you. I'm trying to, like, the more time that I spend on set, the more that I just try and learn the flow of the way crews work and how things slot together. Because I think the key to being a good director, at least the way that, because we shoot under time pressure, I think that the thing that makes, and maybe all productions are like that, there's never enough time. That a good director is someone who can, like, fit in with the flow of the day and know when to spend time and when to focus and when to rush and you know. So yeah, I'd really like to do it at some point. Maybe write a little short and make it. But the thing I'm trying to write, I've decided to put explosions in it and really expensive things like a car chase and stuff. I'm not writing Speed 5, but I am writing something that it's not something that I can just shoot with my mates, unfortunately. Maybe I should write something else a bit simpler and then come back to that when I'm older. Are you into video games? Not anymore. I used to be when I was up until about 18. I was obsessed. I could play them for ages and ages and ages and ages and, like, not eat and stuff. I would, like, miss meals because I was obsessed with games. And now I just look at them and I can't. It's like I can see the artifice of it. How it's just like putting a dot onto another dot in a very, very complicated way with lots of shiny graphics. But it's just like, move your dot over here and you get points. It's boring. Waste of time. No more video games. How do you feel about Bernie Sanders? Good about Bernie Sanders. He's good. He probably won't win the election because he doesn't have as much backing and money, but he seems to be really socially conscious and have some values and integrity and stuff. I think that's really important. And he's into healthcare and free healthcare and reform and basically the things that young people are interested in. Seems to be a divide between how young people think about politics and how old people think about politics. And, you know, as people get older, they get generally more conservative, but he's the opposite. We have the same thing in England at the minute. There's a guy called Jeremy Corbyn who's might win the Labour election. This is boring, but he's so great. He's just what we want: some people with values to run the countries. Some people with actual principles who aren't bastards. I think someone asked a question about why Donald Trump is such a dick. Someone asked me that. Here, where is it? Yeah. He's just lost his way. He's gone completely mental. He's obsessed with money. He's just lost the plot. He doesn't know what he is anymore. Idiot. He said something so mental about his own daughter. He said he'd be dating her if he wasn't her dad. That's so messed up. Please don't let him run the country. God's sake. Have you ever thought of trying drag? If you were a drag queen, what would your name be? I have done drag. Not for any particular reason. There was just a sort of period in my life where all my friends seemed to be dressing up like women all the time. Did a music video where we were all dressed up like women, and then we were just doing it for anything. Birthday parties, going out for a picnic, didn't really matter. What would my drag queen name be? I think it was Stella Lagoon at one point. Yeah, I do make a good lady. Is it easy for you to cry for a scene, or does it take a lot of concentration? It doesn't take concentration. It's not easy, but it doesn't take concentration. It takes the opposite of concentration. You have to let go. There's like a dam. I think everyone's got a sort of natural emotional barrier between them and the world, so that you don't just feel everything all the time. And then you just got to sort of pierce that, and once you've got through that, then you can just go for it. I think that's just the difficult bit, is overcoming that of having to be vulnerable in front of people and stuff. But once you sort of get over that, it's not too difficult. It used to freak me out. I used to get so in my own head about it. I used to think that was what made a good actor. You know, the ability to be able to cry and cry and cry. Some people can just do it, some people can't. But the less you worry about things like that, the more that you just get on with it. The easier it gets. When did you embrace atheism? I didn't. I'm just sort of agnostic. I don't really subscribe to anything really, because we don't really know anything. We're just tiny little things on a tiny little thing in a massive thing, and you just don't want to let it get too arrogant, because then you've like missed the point about sort of faith and stuff. To find all these when it gets too indoctrinated, just think of what God is meant. What some people think about God is meant to be like infinite joy, infinite consciousness, infinite knowledge that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Imagine an ocean of infinite love that stretched forever. Would you care about gay marriage? That just doesn't seem to make sense to me. That's so limited and small. So, yeah, I think if there is, it's not worth really talking about, because words are limited and stuff. So it's, I don't know. But no, not an atheist. Are you planning to get more tattoos? What do you want next? I do. I can't tell you what I want because I don't know if I'm going to get it yet. I'm still mulling over the idea. But I think I'm going to get one when I finish. I don't know. It's difficult as an actor because they take ages to cover up and it's a real nightmare. But I think when I'm in the next sort of stage of my life, whenever I'm not working on this job or something, I'll get one. So I just want time to mull over the idea, give it some months and months, and see if I still want it. What happened to your Snapchat? All in capital letters. I just I'm trying to spend less time on technological devices. I say as I speak into a laptop alone. But yeah, I feel like the more time I spend on my phone, the more that it's atomizing my thoughts, like it's making everything really, really, really small. Like the technology, the way that we take in information is like all this scrolling and bits and stuff. It's the way that we take in the information is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, like granular, and then that affects the way that you actually perceive reality. Like my attention span is just rubbish now. I found it much harder to read a book, and that's not good. So all of that sort of phony stuff, I'm trying to stay away from being on my phone too much. What is the one thing you are absolutely terrified to do, but when you did it, you were glad that you did? Well, recently I did some singing, which scares the shit out of me. And it felt so good to do, actually. My tip for the day is do something that scares the shit out of you. Because it just makes you feel good. Once you get over the initial thing, it's you might find that you really enjoy that thing, whatever it is. I don't really have a singing voice. But if you just force yourself into doing something that really scares you, it can be really, really positive. Is the different coloured sock thing a fashion statement, or is a sock regardless of colour? Yes, that's true. A sock is a sock regardless of colour. We should all live by that standard. Yeah, I just don't want to spend ages folding my socks like an idiot. Think of all the time that you've spent in your whole life getting all your socks and folding them and putting them into coloured order. What for? It's at least hours, extra hours. When you're on your deathbed, that will be my one regret. What did you regret? I wasted so much time folding socks when I could have just been out wearing 2 different coloured socks. Don't bother. Would you play a role in a movie series that encourages political ideas that you disagree with? Yeah, I thought about this the other day as well. I don't really think that many movies have a political agenda. But like doing movies that have loads of guns in them and stuff. I think that's fine. I think it's totally separate from life. As long as, like playing a villain and stuff, you know, even playing the worst of the worst, as long as they're seen as the villain in the movie, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna hopefully play all different kinds of people in my career, and I'll do pretty much anything as long as it's good. You can have $1 million if a snail is actively hunting you down for the rest of your life. If it touches you, you die. Would you take the $1 million? Yeah. Fuck that snail. He'll never catch me. All I have to do is get on a plane. What's he going to do? He can't even speak. Do snails even have brains? He's not going to get me. And I could spend a load of money on snail security. It wouldn't even be that much. Snail security is not that expensive. I'm pretty sure snail security is like some beer in a milk bottle, like in a plastic milk bottle. That's what my mum does in the garden. You just put beer in a milk bottle, and then snails and slugs climb in it. They love the taste, and then they drown. All life is sacred, apart from snails. They would never catch me. I would have to spend like maybe £100, maybe, in my whole life on the milk and the beer. That leaves me with almost $1 million. What's your perspective on aliens? Do you think they really exist? Since you're so into space and stuff, says the question. Yeah, I do think they exist. Because there's loads of planets out there. There's millions, billions and billions and billions of planets, so there's probably something out there. Kepler, that telescope. Is it a telescope? No. Is it a satellite? It's a telescope on a satellite? Shit. It's found loads of planets that look like Earth, similar to Earth. And Mars might have some sort of fossilized algae or something in the rock, if we might find, because there used to be oceans on it. So, I mean, and that's just the next planet over. So yeah, probably aliens. That's all the questions I wrote down. So I thought it would take. How long has this been? 27 minutes. That seems about right. That I was on. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for your questions. I might do this again sometime. I actually think that I like this form of communication. I'm going to watch this video back and see if I said anything